What's up, y'all? Back for chapter 10. This go round in this instructional video, I'm gonna not only be supporting you through reading the questions and helping facilitate how to answer those, but there is no YouTube video for this chapter, so that means I'm gonna be reading the YouTube. I'm gonna be reading chapter 10 in this video at the end of it, but first I'm going to review the questions first, and then I'm going to read at the end, so you can watch me review the questions, and then you can go read on your own if you like, or you can stick around and listen to me read and follow along. I'm going to start off with the please do now. It says to write about something that you have a hard time accepting or getting over. For example, I have a hard time accepting the death of basketball great Kobe Bryant. So that was something. I'm a Lakers fan. Kobe Bryant was my favorite player, and I had a hard time accepting that or getting over it. Still do. And so I want you to write about something that you have a hard time accepting or getting over. And it could be anything. It can be you have a hard time accepting the fact that you have to do your hair every morning, or you have a hard time accepting the fact that your new shoes will eventually get dirty. I have a hard time accepting that as well. I don't like getting my shoes dirty. So whatever it is, anything that you had a hard time accepting or getting over, it can be something more serious, it can be something lighthearted, but I want to know something that you have a hard time getting over. Because in this chapter, it's gonna be some things presented that, that the boys have a hard time getting over. So I'm going to look at the first chapter question for chapter 10. It says, what did Laf learn about his father's passing that he didn't know before? Why is he upset that he's just now finding out? So somewhere in the beginning of the chapter, he started learning things about how his dad died, what the situation was like. So what was that? What did he learn? And then why is he upset that he's just now finding out? Second question. Why does Tyree feel guilty about their father's death? If you read the situation, what went on, he has pretty good reason to feel kind of guilty about it. Why is that? Third question, according to Tyree, what made New Charlie mad and helpless? So this goes back to our please do now. New Charlie's having a hard time getting over something or accepting something. And according to Tyree, he said something like the new Charlie was mad and helpless about. What was that? What was the situation? What was the event? What happened? What occurred that made new Charlie mad and helpless, according to Tyree? You'll find that toward the end when they're talking about, Tyree's talking about like a monkey on your back. Like it's a saying, it says like, man, he got a monkey on his back. Like he got a problem that he can't really shake or accept or get over. So I'm going to go into reading chapter 10 now, if I can find it. So now's the time. You can cut out if you don't want to hear me read. If you do want to hear me read, it's about to start in a couple seconds. Please do join me on Zoom later. 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a classmate to log on, do their work, join me on Zoom. You can even just stop by to say hi if you want. Gonna start reading now. Chapter 10. I stared at the bottom of my empty cup. Tyree had stopped talking, but I couldn't look at him. Not right away. Nobody had ever told me he was right there watching our daddy slip into that frozen pond. Everybody had known it, but nobody had told me. It was like a secret, a lie that had been in my life since before I was born. I could hear people talking all around us, talking and laughing. I tried to imagine my daddy running out into that pond, but I couldn't. I could only see Tyree there, screaming from under the tree. How come y'all never told me? I whispered. I wanted to scream it, but I didn't know what the words would do. Maybe they just sink into the walls and disappear. Maybe they reappear years and years later in front of some boy who had spent his whole life thinking otherwise. Why? Tyree asked. I looked up at him to see if he was serious. What do you mean, why? 'Cause I was his brother. 'Cause it was my daddy. 'Cause it mattered. 'Cause, I said, just 'cause. You think it would have made a difference if you had grown up knowing that I was there? I nodded. Why? How come you asking why, Tyree? You must have known it would have made some difference, 'cause y'all decided not to tell me. I'm not stupid. You know how you always want to know what were the last words I said to Mama? Tyree asked. I nodded. Well, it always makes me think of the last words I said to Daddy. You know what they were? Yeah, the lady was in shock when the ambulance got there, but Daddy was okay, so they let him and me go home. Tyree swallowed and looked away from me. He stared around the restaurant a minute before going on. They gave him this blanket to wear even though he kept insisting he was fine in all those wet clothes. But he put the blanket on anyway and the cops drove us home. Mama nearly went crazy when she saw him. She was scared something had happened to me. Where was Charlie? By the time we got home, Mama put him down for a nap. He got quiet again. I waited, and when he started talking, his voice was real low. After Daddy got out of those wet clothes and climbed into bed, I came into the room. I asked him if he thought the dog was going to be okay. Tyree smiled. It was the saddest smile I'd ever seen in my life. Then what happened? Daddy said, It's all right, T. I'm warm now. Tyree shook his head. I wouldn't talk about it for a long time. Charlie used to always ask me about what happened, but I wouldn't say. And I made Mama promise not to talk about it. I wanted to make believe I wasn't there. Figured if nobody talked about it, I wouldn't go around blaming myself because I had told Daddy to help them. And you know why I told him to help them? I shook my head. Something was coming to me. Slow and clear as a pancake syrup. Charlie, I kept thinking, Charlie. 'Cause I wanted a stupid dog, Tyree said. I wanted a dog more than anything in the world, and because of it I lost my dad. You know what that does to you? Yeah, I whispered, but Tyree didn't hear me. He would have gone in there anyway, I said a little bit louder, right? Tyree shrugged and kept looking around the restaurant. He was sort of bobbing his head like he was hearing some music inside it. The waitress came over and asked us if we wanted anything else. When Tyrese didn't say anything, I ordered 2 refills. Sometimes I stared in the mirror and was surprised to see how little and lost I looked. That was how Tyree looked now, like he was waiting for somebody to come and take his hand and show him the way home. How come Charlie didn't go to the park with you? Tyree kept bobbing his head. Too small, he said, still looking out at the restaurant. Daddy wanted to read his paper, didn't want to have to keep an eye out for him. Sundays were me and Daddy's time. The thing is, Tyree said, Charlie wasn't there for any of it, for Daddy, for Mama. And it's made him mad and helpless. Message. I shook my head again, trying to shake Charlie thoughts out of it, but I couldn't. All those years, Charlie must have grown up watching Mama and Tyree at the table, trying to figure out how to keep us eating and wearing clothes, and him not being able to help. All those years of him being too small and too much trouble. Him not being the one Daddy wanted to take to the park. I looked around the coffee shop. There were a lot of people in it now. A woman was sitting in one corner by herself reading a magazine. I wondered if she'd ever been jogging in Central Park. Wondered if she'd ever had or wanted a dog, or had a brother who was mad all the way down to his bones. We got all this stuff to carry around with us, Tyree said. You know how they say drug addicts got a monkey on their back? Nah. Well, that's what people say. And it's like we got monkeys on our backs, except it ain't drugs. You wanted that dog, I said. And I wanted some breakfast. Just regular stuff people want. We didn't know what was gonna happen or anything. Charlie didn't want anything from them. I don't think. I mean, maybe he just wanted them. Maybe he wanted Daddy to take him to the park, and you and Mama to let him help with stuff. But that ain't no monkey. The waitress brought us refills, and Tyree waited till she left again before he started talking. Yeah, it is, he said. Charlie got the biggest monkey on his back. I can remember the last thing I said to Daddy, and you can remember the last thing you said to Mama. At least we got to be there, but not Charlie. And I think he carries that around. It's more like a gorilla on his back than a monkey. Nobody told him to go hold up that store, I said. But he did, Tyree said. And while he was gone, me and you had each other after Mama died. And he just had raw weight, you know. It turned him mad, I said. Tyree nodded. And I don't know where he's going to take that mad, he said. I really don't. Should send him to Dr. Vernon, I said. That shrink y'all sent me to. Tyree shook his head. We don't have Dr. Vernon money anymore. And Charlie said he didn't want to go to a psychologist. Said he had to see one when he was in Rahway. And since he hasn't really gotten into trouble again, I can't make him. But he's evil incarnate, I said. I kept thinking about the way new Charlie face twisted up every time he called me Milagro Killer. It reminded me of somebody possessed. Evil incarnate? Tyree smiled and shook his head. You'll probably grow up to write those thriller movies where everyone's always screaming. If I have to keep living with new Charlie, I will. I'll have first-hand experience. So, we came across the answer to all of those 3 questions that we have. If you need to go back, reread, skim through, and find the answers, good luck. See you tomorrow.